भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरोभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्युषे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कथाञ्चन स्मृते यस्मिन् दुष्करं सुकरं भवेत् विपरीतं विस्मृतं यस्य श्रीचैतन्यनमामितं मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. I don't remember the session at all, which session we are on to, but we do remember the verse where we are. So in the last session, a quick recap, what we heard, what we are supposed to remember. The proper discrimination or discernment between the body and the soul was discussed. And so it started with one has to tolerate the dualities of life in the verse number 14. And in 15, one who does that for a longer period of time is eligible for liberation. So Amrit Tattva Kalpate. And in the verse number 16, it was told that the Tartadarshabhi, those who are the seers or seers of the absolute truth, what they do, they understand the realization of the body and soul in a way that there is no permanent change in the soul, and the body is having continuous change. That means there is always change in the body and there is no change in the soul. Because the verse was in the negative terms, so to understand it was a little bit difficult. But the simple meaning is body is changeable, soul is eternally absolute, no change. That is the difference between the matter and the spirit, which we studied in verse number 16. From today itself, we have to study the verse number 17. And let me share my screen so that we can all recite it together. So I hope the screen is visible, Mehika.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. So verse number 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Avinashi tu tatvidhi. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Vinasham abhyavyasya nakaschit kartumarhati. Can you read the translation, Mika? रेयांश एंड ऋतिक प्रभु, आप लोग ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ोगे प्लीज?
Yes, Prabhu. To you.
That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul.
Very nice. So in the verse number 17, it is connected to the previous verse. Now the previous verse was saying that the body is changeable, but the soul has no changes in it. So now the soul part is taken and specially described in the next verse. So the body is left in the previous verse. Now we are discussing the attributes of the soul. Like what are the qualities of a soul? How to define soul? So it started with Avinashi. Nash means which is perishable, and Avinashi means which is not perishable. So Krishna says Avinashi tu tatvidhi. So in Sanskrit, whenever this term tu comes, now in Hindi we say tu means you, but in Sanskrit tu means but. So whenever a statement is having tu or but, that means something important is being conveyed now, which is related to the previous statement, but now it is more important. See, I also use the statement but. So, but the soul is imperishable. This is the first line. Yena sarvam idam tatam. So the soul is completely pervading. Idam. Idam means where. So idam can be this body also, and idam can be meaning something else also. For example, if I say it in English, this soul pervades here. Now, when I say here, that here can be anything, right? It can be body, it can be that Kurukshetra place also, it can be the whole universe, it can be anything. So, but we have to be very specific because the difference between body and spirit was mentioned in the previous verse. So here, idam means this body. So when Krishna is speaking, he's saying idam means this body. So what two things we learned? First, the soul is completely imperishable. And the second thing, it is indestructible, imperishable, and it is pervading the entire body. How it pervades, that we have to understand. Now he says, Krishna is speaking the third line, Vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati means na kaschit kartum. There is no possibility for anyone or anything that can cause vinash to something which is avyaya. Now in Sanskrit, vyaya means to expend. That means something which like the quantity is reduced. Like you have 100 rupees, and when you go to the market to buy a piece of bread, and you have to pay 10 rupees. So that means 10 rupees vyaya. Now 90 rupees is remaining. But there is nothing like that happening with the soul. Soul will always remain 100%. No change because we have to keep remembering what we learned from the previous verse also. So there is no change in the soul. So no one or no thing or no condition can cause any kind of change to the indestructible soul. So when I try to catch my this ear, that means I'm saying one point. But I'm trying to say that thing from another perspective, that means I'm completing the statement. So first thing, soul is imperishable. No one or no thing can destroy the soul. Like same statement, but is mentioned by two phases. So one phase is maybe something in inert happening with the soul that can cause it to be destroyed. No. Maybe some external factors are also causing. No. So no internal, no external factor can cause the degradation or perishable attribute of the soul. It can trigger. No, no. Soul is always imperishable and indestructible. So see, Vinashi and Vinasham, both the words are coming. Okay, so two ways to understand. Now we'll go to the purport of Srila Prabhupada. This verse more clearly explains the near nature of the soul. That means in the previous verse, it was explained. Now a clarification, a special description is being mentioned, right? Because in the previous verse, body and soul both were getting 50-50% of the content of the verse. But this verse is completely about the soul. Nothing about the body is mentioned here. Now, the soul is spread all over the body. This body is idam, this. Idam means this. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It's consciousness. Okay, now the problem is here. Earlier in the statement, it is being said that the soul is spread all over the body. Now they are saying that the consciousness is spread all over the body. Hey, what is the difference or similarity in soul and consciousness? This we'll understand first. So, soul means Jivatma, like we all, me, Anshuman, Mehkari, Hansh, we all others, we are all Jivas or soul. Okay. But the attribute of soul is consciousness. For example, in a big Boeing plane, the pilot is very small, sitting in the cockpit. But from there, he is able to access all the functionalities of the plane, right? So similarly, the soul is there in the place of the heart, in the region of the heart. But from here, the soul is pervading the entire body through consciousness. This is the understanding. This is the harmonized understanding between body and soul and consciousness. So soul is situated in a place, but is pervading the entire structure, this whole structure through consciousness. How we'll understand this? Everyone is conscious of the pain and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. For example, if I pinch myself here, so there is consciousness in my hand, so I'll be able to know the pain. You know? For example, there is too much heat outside, and if I apply icy cold water on my body, I'll be very happy. So, because of the consciousness, I means the soul can understand the pains and pleasures at that time, right? That same cold water in winter is very like painful. So that doesn't mean we should not take bath. We should always take bath. Anyway, so this spreading of consciousness is limited in this body. If I touch this curtain, the pains and pleasures of this curtain, I cannot understand that. See, if someone punches another person, the pain of the punch that is felt in the hand is felt by the person who punched. But the effect of the one who received the punch, how would the one who has punched would know that, right? Similarly, the consciousness of the one who got punched would be understood by that person in the receiving end. And the one who actually punched would get the result or the pains of the hand which was used. Okay. So both the living entities, both the jivas, one punched, one got punched, but have a different sensations of pain. Why? Because personality number A has the consciousness which is pervading in his own body only. The consciousness will not go outside of the body and feel the pains and pleasures of the other person. Okay? That is why the next statement comes. The pains and pleasures of the one body are unknown to another. I don't know what happened. See, I just talked about punch, but this tongue is a bitter enemy. So when we speak some bad things about some people or maybe some ninda, chugli, whatever we do, so I may not be able to feel the pain of the one who heard those statements from my mouth, right? I'll be like, ah, मैंने बोल दिया, I just said it. But the one who is on the receiving end, his heart is shattered into thousand pieces, like a broken glass. So this is what we have to understand. Now, further, Srila Prabhupada is speaking about the individual consciousness. He says, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, right? And the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. The people who have paralysis, right? You can see now some of the body parts are not working. There are people who are born with their hands not working at all and completely stick to their body like this. They can move everything, but they cannot move their hand. So what happened? So in the gross modern science, it is understood it is just paralysis, the nervous system got failed. Yeah, those are all correct. But in the subtle terms, the consciousness is not present here. Even when you pinch and you beat, nothing. They'll not feel the pains and pleasure, nothing. Okay. So it is the consciousness which is not pervaded in that part of the area. Therefore, this soul is described as the 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting Shvetashvatara Upanishad. This is one of the principles, 11 Upanishads. See, the Upanishad itself says the Upanishads are actually unlimited in number, but still 108 are important. And among those 108, 11 are very important. Kena Mandok, Mandok, Shvetashvatara, etc. etc. So in Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Shruti, it says, Bal Agra Shata Bhagasya Shatadha Kalpitasya Cha. So Bal means this hair. I don't have actually. I just have Shikha. So you all have. So Bal then this is the strand of hair, and then agra. Agra means the tip, the starting point. If you divide it, shatabhagasya, bhag means to divide 100 times, and then whatever is received, shatadha kalpitasya, you divide it again, because cha word is used here. Cha means and means you have to do it again. So 100, that is 10,000. So the 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, bhagah jivah savignyeyah sa chanantyaya kalpate. This is the dimension of the spirit soul. To see the tip of the hair is already very difficult. Sometimes our mother or our like my mother or someone's mother, they are cooking, and suddenly you get a strand of hair in your dal. It is very difficult to trace out, especially in some of the dishes, which is very much equivalent to the color of the hair. So you can't figure it out. But how to figure it out? The tip of the hair, and then divide it by 100, and again divided by 100. My Lord, so sukshma, so subtle. So such verses or such mantras in the Upanishad, they are there to help us understand that it is very, very, very difficult, or it is very, very, very like very difficult to understand the proportion or the size of the soul. It is very small. So still we haven't developed any kind of instrument to see the soul, but the scriptures are very evident about it. So there is a similar verse in another Upanishads. So it says Keshagra Shatabhagasya. So very similar to this only. So Balagra means Bal ka Agra Bhag, and Keshagra, another word for Bal is Kesha, right? So Kesh Agra, similar verse. Jiva Sukshma Swarupoyam, the Swarup or the eternal form of the Jeev is very sukshma, very subtle. Sankhya tito hi chittakanaha. And it can be understood by Sankhya. Okay. Now, from this portion, we'll be discussing the attributes of the soul, not in terms of consciousness, but in terms of influence. Okay. So if we understand this, naturally we'll be able to counter 99% of the problems of the world. Okay, very simple. So, okay, I would love to have someone else read this. Okay, since Riyansh and Ritik are here, Prabhu, any one of you, please go ahead.
Therefore, the individual particle of the spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. This very small spark is the basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body, as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. The current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is a proof of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul.
Very nice. So the verse, so the paragraph is evident in itself. Very simple. What is the difference between the living and the dead? The answer is the presence of the soul. But since the soul is so minute, so small, one cannot trace the soul. So how can one trace the soul? By the attribute of consciousness. So there are two bodies in front of you. One body is having consciousness, the other one is not having consciousness. Very easily we can determine that this is the dead body, this is the living body. That means the presence of soul or the presence of consciousness is the parameter to find out the living versus the dead. Very simple. Now, there are various chemical compositions happening in our body on gross level. For example, they say, the modern science says that when the dopamine, you must have heard this, the dopamine kicks in our head, then that generates a lot of emotions. That is when one is happy, when one is angry. So various chemical combinations are happening inside our brain that is causing us, or the various secretion of hormones, they are causing the person to exhibit various kinds of emotions. But this is on the gross level. that same dopamine or the same brain or the same chemical composition is present in the dead body also. But why not the dead body is smiling, or you may shout at the dead body for 12 hours or 24 hours, but that body will not respond. So what is the difference? It is the presence of the soul. It is the presence of the consciousness, nothing else, right? So an intelligent person always and always goes deeper into the subject matters. So the spirituality is, for example, these teachings of Bhagavad Gita are very deep. That is why we are reading this Bhagavad Gita. Now, Srila Prabhupada is quoting another mantra from Mundak Upanishad. He says, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. So when he says further explained, that means the same explanation, but in a different sense is being told here. So here he says, Esho narunatma chetas viditvayo yasmin pranah panchada samvishesha pranishchittam sarvamotam prajanam yasmin vishuddhe vivatyesha atma. He says, Esho, Eshaha means this, Anur Atma Chetasa Vidittavyo. This soul is very Anur. Anu is the term that is used for the term atom. So in Sanskrit, Anu means atom. And it can be Vidittavyo, can be understood by perfect intelligence. Like one who is an idiot cannot understand these subject matters very easily. Okay, so one who understands the difference between the body and the soul, how soul is so minute, even the sense of this knowledge, you can say, ah, this person is intelligent. So if you all are understanding or trying to understand this, naturally by the end of the class, you can claim you are intelligent. Okay, may not be perfect, but yes, you are on the path of perfect intelligence. Now it says, Yasmin Pranaha Panchadha Samvisheshaha. So this soul is actually floating. Where it is floating? In the Panchadaha Prana, five kinds of air. Saying, what kind of air are we talking about here? Are there five kinds of air? Yes, the names are mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. Prana, Apana, Vyana, Samana, Udana. And this soul is situated within the heart. So I may not remember, maybe in the previous session or previous to the previous session, why soul is here. We did one exercise of charades. I don't know if you remember, right? Whenever someone says I, me, mine, main, mera, mujhe, these statements, automatically the hand goes here, na? Because the soul is residing here. So this is a very nice activity one can do to preach others also the presence of soul. The dead body will not do like this. We won't even do like this. Do you know me? We'll say, do you know me? है ना? And how it is spread? The influence is spread all over the body. And when the soul is purified from the contamination of five kinds of material aid, its spiritual influence is exhibited. Now, there is a hidden statement here. Soul is always pure. So, how will be the soul purified? So, when the statement is to be taken in the complete sense, when the soul is purified from the contamination of five kinds of air, that means the soul itself is very pure, but there is a covering. There is a covering. For example, the banana may be properly ripened, very tasty, but the packaging is very disturbing. है ना? It may be perishable, very smell is coming, but the banana inside is very nice. So the banana or the soul inside is completely pure, no contamination. There are no changes in the soul. So when someone says that impure soul or pure soul, like these statements, that means they are talking about the coverings. Okay. So we are speaking about the coverings here. For example, a person may have taken a very nice bath and everything, but may have worn, torn clothes or smelly clothes. Okay. Anyway, body after body, covering after covering. So the pure soul is covered by the contamination, but the soul always remains pure only. Okay. So where this contamination happens, it happens in the consciousness, not in the soul. So when there is contamination of the consciousness, when there is the degradation of consciousness itself, they say that is an impure soul. or the person is very degraded, right? So we have to understand soul always remains pure. There is no change in the soul. So there are various theories about soul. For example, in Jainism, they say that the body is the soul. So no, this cannot be correct because the Shastras, the scriptures, they do not allow this definition. The soul, the size is given and how it is spread all over the body through the consciousness or chitta. Consciousness means chetana or chitta. So by chetana, the whole body is pervaded. Now, these five airs. So should I explain all these five airs? Maybe you can tell. We'll be entering into Patanjali Yoga. Should I explain or not?
I think yes,
Up to
Prabhuji.
you.
Briefly, maybe.
Yes.
Thank you. That would be
Okay.
interesting to know. Thank you.
Okay. So these five kinds of airs. So first air is mentioned is prana vayu. So what is prana? Pran itself means in Sanskrit life. है ना? So this is the nearest subtle element of the soul. It is the life force that takes energy from atmosphere. Okay. So if you could not understand this statement, I'll just simplify it. The carrier of the soul. Pran Vayu can be equivalent to the soul, है ना? But there are other Vayus also. So I'll just give you an example how this Pran Vayu works. So in Kumbh, you know, there is a very large gathering every 12 years in Prayagraj. So there, lots and lots of sadhus, they come to this event and they take dip in the holy waters of Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati, where the confluence is happening. So there are a lot of scientists also. Every 12 years, they come to this gathering and they have some experiments done because the sadhus are very mystical, na? They'll just do like this and they'll make an apple appear and they'll say, "Can you?" For example, they'll ask the scientist, "It's like, what do you want?" They say, "I want the Arabian dates from this and this place." So he'll get that and the scientists will be amazed. Oh my God, such a mystical powers. So we have sadhus like this. There are many, see, crores and crores of sadhus are being assembled at a place, but people don't see them traveling in trains or buses and everywhere. So what they do, they take a dip in the Himalayas in some water sarovar or maybe the river, and then they appear in Prayagraj. So these are kind of mystical powers they have. So uh, I don't remember the exact year. Scientists from Russia and USA together they were there in the Kumbh Mela, and one sadhu he challenged those scientists that I'll be now completely dead for a few minutes, and you can bring on your equipments and you can see properly see my heartbeat, my pulses, breathing, everything would be stopped. Yet after a few minutes, I'll be completely awakened. He said that. So all those scientists they were not very much confident about this because I said, how is this possible that someone by their own will can die and then come back? Because in Christianity and Islam, there is no proper concept of soul, na? So once you die, and then either you go to heaven or hell based upon whether you were a proper Christian or Muslim or not. So this is the basic, very, third class concept anyway. So reincarnation concept is not there in great detail, but we have it in our Sanatana Dharma. So the scientists they plugged in all the instruments and the yogi sat in meditation and left the body. And they were just seeing the heartbeat zero, pulse rate zero, no breathing, nothing is happening. And the yogi, he although said that he'll be appearing within 15 minutes, but it went to like 1 hour. So now they were very much afraid that they might have done some kind of murder by this experiment. But the yogi came after a few like 1 hour or so, and then the body was again awake and heartbeat, pulse rate, everything, breathing, everything was happening very nicely. They were so impressed, so impressed, so impressed. They were continuously asking, "How did you do it? How did you do it?" But he did not like tell them the secret of how he hid his pranavayu in the tip of his angushtha or thumb of the feet. So what he did, he collected all his pranavayu and shifted it towards the tip of the feet. So that's how he hid his pranavayu. So the pranavayu is also pervading in the entire body and is carrying the consciousness. Okay. So this is pranavayu. Which is the next one? It says apanavayu. So what is apanavayu? So when we do excretion, when we pass stool, so at that time also we generate some kind of air, right? If air is not there, you cannot even pass stool. Let that be very clear about it. Now the modernity sense may kick in. What we are talking about stool or everything. This is our body. This is proper science. So when one is passing stool, so he's all at the same time passing some kind of air also. That air is helping in throwing out the mal from the body, the contamination from the body, the stool from the body. So that vayu is called apana vayu. Okay, that is also important. If you don't have apana vayu, no proper excretion. Whatever you eat will completely remain in your body forever and ever, like cement. So for those who are having troubles in apana vayu, they are having problems in excretion. Anyway, so the third vayu is samana vayu. So the name itself suggests samana. So this is the vayu that helps in digestion. Okay. So whatever digestion is happening in our body, it is because of saman vayu. This saman vayu is keeping the agni inside our body. See, there are many kinds of agnis also. So there is one agni called Jathar Agni. Jathar Agni. This area itself is called Jathar. So when someone is eating some food, so in science you will just simply say we are having hydrochloric acid in our stomach. Yeah, that's true. But there is proper agni which is keeping it alive. So for those who are having very mand agni or sim flame of the digestive fire, for them digestion is very difficult. है ना? So when Ayurvedic Acharya, he checks the pulse, immediately he checks the digestive fire. He said, oh, you have mand agni. Digestion is not proper. So very easily he can find out through the Vayu only. So Saman Vayu means digestive vital force. Now the fourth one is Udan Vayu. So Udan means Ut, which is flowing upward. Apan, which goes down, and Udan, which goes upward. So when we speak, if we put our hand right here, you will feel that you are having some kind of air coming out of your mouth. Without the presence of that air, you cannot speak, right? So this is Udan Vayu for the personalities who are having the problem of stammering, right? Those who are not able to speak, like they'll speak like my name is Shant Gopinath. So stammering issues are there. So grossly they can find out various problems how this consequence is coming. But the problem is with the Udan Vayu. That is why the loudness and clarity is not there, right? So the Udan Vayu helps you to speak properly. It gives loudness, clarity of voice. Now the last one is Vayan Vayu. Now this is completely pervaded uh, to all the joints of the body. Now without the air, this Vayan Vayu, you cannot even move your fingers. So all the joints that you have in your body have some kind of air also in it. Now all these airs are very subtle. It's not that you can see, you can just completely feel those airs like the air which we feel outside. No, that is different. This is Vayu. Vayu is different from air. है ना? Although the terms are like proper translated into two languages, but it is very different. Vayu is a dhatu. है ना? It is a proper useful element inside the body, just like blood. It is very useful. So any disbalance in any of the five vayus will result into the five uh, complications to the functions which they perform. Okay, so I hope this general understanding of the five vayus is completed. So the prana vayu or all these five vayus are covering to the souls and are helping in spreading the consciousness to whole the body. Now, Srila Prabhupada is saying the Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the five kinds of air. So when we do pranayam and kapalabhati and all those things, we are actually making sure the vayu of the body is balanced. As soon as the vayu is disturbed, immediately we get sick. One more thing. Do you know our parents, elders, they say to cover our ear during winters, right? Yeah, what is there to cover our ear? Even if you don't cover your head properly, the ears are to be covered very properly. Like Kokila Mataji is covering the ears. So why this is being done? So when the cold air enters to the hole of the ear, immediately the vat, the vayu is changed inside the body. As soon as the vat is changed, immediately you feel sick. Running nose, cold, cough, everything starts. So that is why one is told to cover the ear especially. May not cover the head properly, but the ear is very important. The covering of the head is because you might get headache later. Although headache is related to some other problems. Anyway, this is not an Ayurveda class, so we'll go back to the Bhagavad Gita. Now, Srila Prabhupada once again quoting the Mundak Upanishad. No, this line. We forgot this line. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures. Like in you take any scripture, spirituality has the term spirit or the soul in it. So without the discussion of spirit or soul, one cannot claim to be a spiritualist. Okay, because spirituality itself is on the constitutional level of soul. Okay, and it is all actually felt in the practical experience by any sane man. That means anyone who is not able to practically experience this is insane. Such a practical experience. For example, I told you about this air. It is all practical. The presence of it, the activity which we did, the presence of the soul, it is all very practical. It is not that something is just theoretical. हाँ. For example, the conception of hell and heaven. जन्म जहन्नुम है, स्वर्ग है, ये है. This feels little bit theoretical because you haven't seen it, but you can feel it. But the presence of soul and consciousness, it is easily evident. All right? Okay. Only the insane man can think of the atomic soul as all pervading as Vishnu Tattva. Okay, why Srila Prabhupada gave this statement? Okay. Now I would request everyone to be very attentive for what I am going to say now. In the verse itself, it says that the soul, idam tatam, is completely pervading idam in this body. And I said the idam word is pointing towards the body. Now, if the idam word is pointing towards the universe, the same verse will apply to Bhagavan Vishnu, not to the Jiva. So when idam means the whole universe, then we as Jeeves, we are not all pervading in the whole universe. Only Bhagavan Vishnu is all pervading in the whole universe and even beyond that as Paramatma. Okay? So the Atma, this Atma terms has many meanings. It can mean body, it can mean soul, it can mean mind, it can even mean Antahakarana, it can mean Chit. So one word has many meanings. So if this same verse applies, idam is applied to whole universe, then the verse will talk about Vishnu Tattva, not Jiva Tattva. Okay? So be very careful because the people who do translation in Bhagavad Gita sometimes miss this very important point. And then they say, soul is also like Vishnu Tattva. We are also everywhere. No. This is not the correct understanding of the Tattva Siddhant. Okay, that is why Srila Prabhupada specifically is writing this very small paragraph, right? So anyone who is thinking that atomic soul, Anu, because the verse says Esho Anur Atma. Now Vishnu or Krishna is Vibhu Atma. है ना? He is great. He is all pervading, but we are only bodily pervading. Okay? So this is why this statement is specifically we have to discuss. Okay, similarly, Srila Prabhupada is saying that source of the medical science admit that heart is the seat of all energies. Anyway, such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord are called by the name Prabha or superior energy. So whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul of the body. And the science of the soul is explicitly described in Bhagavad Gita, personality of Godhead himself. Why this analogy is there? So whenever you are reading Bhagavad Gita, maybe you can wrote down all the analogies which Srila Prabhupada gives. It's very nice. So sun is situated in a place and the sun rays are present everywhere. So similarly, Krishna is there in the Golok Vrindavan, but through his energies, he is everywhere. है ना? For example, through the window, sunlight comes. The sun himself doesn't come. And I imagining sun coming from the window to our room, nothing will left. है ना? So through energies, he is pervading everywhere. Through his Paramatma form, through his energies, he is everywhere. Prakriti is spread everywhere. So Prakriti is the energy of the Lord. There are innumerable jivas everywhere, almost on the sun planet, on the moon planet, in the earth, down to Atal, Vital, Suatal, and then above Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, Mahatar, Rasatal, Patal. Everywhere you have Jivatmas. So Krishna as Jivatmas is presence everywhere. But Jivatma is the energy of the Lord. Jeev is not Krishna. Never ever put them on equal terms. There is only way you can put them in equal terms by connecting them or harmonizing them, saying that one is the maintainer and one is the maintained. Simple. There is no other definition. Don't justify new definitions, otherwise the philosophy will change. Okay. So this the analogy of sun and sunshine and fragmental parts of Supreme Lord as Anu Atma. This has been explained here. And Srila Prabhupada is very carefully and very explicitly saying that if we are talking about the spirit soul, then the science of the soul has to be understood from Bhagavad Gita itself. It is not that we can just, open any book and we can study soul. No, either it should be some kind of Vedic literature, otherwise not. Okay, so we have few minutes left. We'll just see what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying. So Srila Prabhupada has taken the complete purport as well as his realizations. Whatever his realizations are personal, which he gave in the purport, which is very much relative to the modern world. That is the power of Srila Prabhupada. He makes it very simple. But the commentary is being taken from Vishwanath ji and Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, both. So we'll just see the purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he says, Na bhavo vidyate satah iti asyartham spashyati avinashi iti. So by the term avinashi, which is there in the verse itself, if you see, avinashi tu tat viddhi. So by this term avinashi, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, in the previous verse, na bhavo vidyate satah. This is the previous verse. Iti asya artham spashtiyati. So why the spirit soul is indestructible, that spashtikaran or the clarification is given finally in this verse by the term avinashi. Now he says, tam jivatma swarupam yena sarvamidam shariram tatam vyaptam. That jivatma swarup is yena sarvamidam shariram tatam vyaptam. That means the soul is completely pervaded in the entire body through consciousness. Tatam vyaptam. Now he says, nanu sharir matra vyapi chaitanyatve jivatmo madhyam parimanattvena anityatva prasaktihi maivam. So he's asking a question. He's saying, but being spread through the whole body by consciousness, the soul will be impermanent because the soul is now in medium size. Now, what is this medium size? So we know that we have six system of philosophy: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and then Vedanta, Sankhya, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. For example, the explanation of all the five Vayus I gave from Patanjali. So in Nyaya philosophy, there are three sizes mentioned. So first is minute, which is called Paramanu or atoms. The second is medium size, which is the combinations of atoms. And the third is Sarvam or Sarvavyapi, that is all pervading. So either one should be atomic, one should be neither atomic nor all pervading, or it can be all pervading. So there are three sizes mentioned. So if someone is atomic, that means indestructible. How will you destroy the atom? There is no way to destroy the atom, right? So you cannot destroy the atom. Now, if something is all pervading, that also you cannot destroy. But if something is in medium size, है ना, then that can be destroyed. So how to understand that? Because this size of the body is medium size. Neither it is Anu, neither it is Sarvam, Sarvavyapi. So this answer is given by further verses. Sukshmanam api aham jivaha iti bhagavad uktehi. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is quoting Srimad Bhagavatam. See, Srimad Bhagavatam is clarifying Bhagavad Gita. So he says that of all small things, I am Jiva. Krishna is saying, Sukshmanam api aham Jiva. That there are many Sukshma vastus, but I am the Jiva. As well as he's quoting some Shrutis also. He's saying, Mundak Upanishad, he's saying, Eshol Anuratma Cheta Saviditavyo. This we read in the Srila Prabhupada purport also. And also Balagraha Shata Bhagasya Shata Kalpitasya Bhago Jiva Savignya. So by these statements, he's saying one more verse. Aragramatro Hyaparo Hidrishta Aparo Pidrishta. That means the inferior soul is seen to be the size of the tip of a spoke. That means it is very subtle. So, by these statements, what he's trying to say, iti shrutibhyas, by the statements of these shrutis, because Upanishads are considered shrutis. तस्य परमाणु परिमाणत्वम एव तदपि संपूर्ण देह व्यापी शक्तिमत्वम जातु जाति तस्य महामणेर महाऔषधि खंडस्य वा शिरस्युरसि वा धृतस्य संपूर्ण देह पुष्टि कारण शक्तिमत्वम इवि नासमंजसम. So why one should not be confused, he says that we have to understand first thing, the jeev is very small. Second, it has the power to spread itself throughout the body. And he's giving the example. This example is very nice. Jatu jatitasya mahamadher mahaushadhi khandasya. For example, when someone is having some pain to the whole body, then sometimes the medicine is applied only to the head, but the medicine is acting to the whole body. है ना? There are many kinds of upchars like this. है ना? For example, the anesthesia, the anesthetic injection is given at a particular place near to the bottom of the rib, not the rib, the backbone, and suddenly most of the body part from right from the chest to down to the legs, everything is now anesthetic. You have no sensation now. So, but the anesthesia was not given to the every cell of the body. It was given to the some particular place. Similarly, some herb is applied to the head, and but the nourishing power is influenced throughout the whole body. So it is not very contradictory that something is very small is how it is pervading the whole body. This is what he's saying. है ना? So there should not be any asamanjas in it. Further he's saying, Swarga, Narka, Nana Yonishu, Gamanangcha, Tasyopadi, Paravashya Deva. So by our activities, sometimes we come to earth, sometimes we go to Swarg, sometimes we go to Nark also. And by this, so many mistaken identities, we are going into heaven, hell, and so many places. So in that way also we are pervading everywhere. है ना? So when I said that when the idam word is to be taken as the whole universe, then this verse applies to Vishnu. The Atma means Bhagavan Vishnu or Paramatma. But if you don't apply it to Vishnu also and to Jeev only, then the understanding is not the Atma is everywhere, but the Atma taking various bodies by the karma. For example, if I did good deeds, I'll be promoted to upper planets. If I did bad deeds, I'll be demoted to lower planets. So by these deeds, I am taking various bodies, and then I am traveling from here to there to there to there to this universe to that universe to this planet to that planet. Then also sarvam idam tatam, this is applied. है ना? That the jivas are spread throughout the universe in different bodies. है ना? So this is also the understanding. But the Jeev is spread to the entire universe like Paramatma is wrong. Only this statement is wrong, but the other statements we have discussed. Okay. Now what he says, He says, तदुक्तं प्राणम अधिकृत्य दत्तात्रेयेण येन संस्राते पुमानिति अतएव अस्य सर्वगतत्वम् अपि अग्रिमे श्लोके वक्ष्यमाणं नासमंजसम्. So one more clarification is getting that Dattatreya in the form of Avadhut Brahman in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that the Jiva or the soul, he takes shelter of the Mahat Tattva. That is, which is when the creation happens, whatever we are seeing now is the resultant of the various combinations that actually came from Mahat Tattva. For example, you have a puzzle box, है ना? So this is my own example, not given in Shastras. So you have a puzzle box, you have all the ingredients in the puzzle box. Then by the combination of logics and so many things, you finally do some kind of creation. है ना? For example, a Lego box. You all must have played Lego, I don't know. So you have so many things in the Lego box, and then by the combination, you make a house, you make a garden, you make a city, you make so few residents also, you make a transformer car also through that Lego. So the combination, the unmanifested combination, all those Lego can be understood as the unmanifested ingredients of the creation as Mahat Tattva. So when a Jiva takes shelter of this Mahat Tattva, and then he attains various kinds of bodies, like he either goes to Swarg or Nark. So the statement that the Jeev is also pervading in the entire universe, just uh, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is just giving an example from Srimad Bhagavatam, है ना? वक्ष्यमाण नासम अतएव अव्यवस्य नित्यस्य नित्यो नित्यानां चेतनानाम एको बहुनाम यो विदधाति कामान. So by quoting another Shruti, he is saying that no one can actually destroy the soul because avyayasya, this word is also used here. I have already explained you the meaning of vyay and avyay, है ना? So I'll not explain that again. The soul's pervasion of the body is not contrary to the eternal natures which is stated in the previous verse. So if the soul is pervading in the entire body, it does not mean it will get destroyed. This is the only thing. And there is a meaning also which is seen, like there is an alternative meaning he's giving. Yadva. ननु देहो जीवात्मा परमात्येद वस्तु त्रिकम मनुष्य त्रियागादिषु सर्वत्र दृश्यते तत्रादयोर देह जीवस्य तत्त्वं नासतो विद्यते भाव इति अनेकत्वम. So he's saying that this because the jeev is pervaded in the entire body, so it should not take that it is destroying or it is countering the what is meant in the previous verse. The body, the jeev, and the Paramatma, they are seen everywhere in the forms of human and animal. Because the animal, for example, a bear in the jungle. So the bear is actually a Jivatma, and Paramatma is also there. So Paramatma is also in that body, and Jeev is also in that body. Although Paramatma has nothing to do with that body, he is aloof from that bodily problems. है ना? Only the Jeev has to face the karma. Similarly, when that Jeev will become an ant, so Paramatma will also be staying in that ant body along with the jiva. So the jiva and Paramatma both are sarvavyapi, but in different senses. So first, the two, the body and the jiva, were mentioned in the previous verse. And the third, the Paramatma is mentioned in this verse. This is what I told. If you take the idam as universe, then the indestructible which is spread everywhere in this universe, that is Paramatma. And what finally he says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, तु भिन्नोपक्रमे परमात्मनो माया जीवाभ्याम स्वरूपकथा पृथक्त्याद इतिम जगत. That means the Paramatma is different from the body, and the Paramatma by its nature is also different from matter, and the Paramatma is also different from Jiva. They are not just one and the same. There can be some similarities, but they are not one and the same. So this is the complete explanation of this very important verse, which we just learned. See, by just saying that we are soul, we are soul, we are soul, that is fine. It is philosophy. But because Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book, it's the transcendental message of Bhagavad Gita. So it is our duty to understand it in detail. So by keeping this bhav in my mind and heart, I'm just trying to explain it in that way. Okay. यदद्रस्खलितं किञ्चित् विद्वान् सः पूरयन्तु तत् यदद्रश्रौष्ठवं किञ्चित् तत् कुरुरेव मे नहि. Whatever mistakes I have did, you are all Vidyut Janas. Please help me in correcting that so that my ego remains, subtle, and it is like not satisfied by my own fame and name, and I may remain humble forever. And whatever good you have heard from me, the credit goes to the Guru Janas. Nothing belongs to me. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. If you have any kind of question, comments, corrections. Okay, we have one hand raised. Anshuman Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhandat Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this amazing class. प्रभुजी क्वेश्चन एक्चुअली है जो आपने प्रभुजी बोला ना कि सोल जो मतलब रहता है एयर में पूरा जो पांच वायु के अंदर, तो प्रभुजी कंटामिनेटेड होता है तब कैसे होता है, मतलब कंटामिनेशन कैसे आता है जब हम स्टार्टिंग से हम यहाँ पे आए हैं, वहाँ से कंटामिनेशन पूरा कंटिन्यूअसली हुआ है हमारे खुद के एक्टिविटीज के लिए, या ये नेचुरली होता है जब मेटेरियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड में हम आते हैं?
Okay. So the main thing is when I got contaminated. So maybe in 2 or 3 sessions back, I made you all read the purport of Bhagavad Gita 13.20.
Yes.
When and how we became contaminated. To seek that, we have to ask Krishna himself because he only knows how Mihika got contaminated, how Shan Gopinath got contaminated, how Kokila got contaminated. So we don't know how and when one got contaminated. So the answer can be given by Krishna himself. Prabhupada himself says. But we are Anadi Bahirmukha. From Anadi, if you remember, I explained the Anadi, Anant and Nitya terms as Abhava, Parabhava, Pragbhava, है ना? So in that class, I explained that we are Anadi Bahirmukha. That means at what point of time we became against Krishna, we don't know. So in a general sense, we have to understand that we are always in this material world. Okay. So how this contamination came, who is the reason behind this contamination? For now, at least we know that I am the cause of this contamination because till now I am aware to Krishna consciousness. So in this way we can understand. Okay. Anadi
Yes, Prabhuji.
Bahirmukha.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Mika.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the class on 2.17 verse. So, Prabhuji, my question is from the soul and consciousness relation that you talked about. So, since the soul is eternal and consciousness comes from the soul, or like is related to it, how does the consciousness become material or like contaminated instead of staying pure and eternal like the soul is?
It's a very interesting question. So the consciousness getting contaminated or the soul getting contaminated itself means it is being covered by contamination. That is why most of the time in the start of this lecture, I was saying the term covered, and uncovered. So soul, its attribute is consciousness. It is covered by contamination. So in a general sense of speaking, we say contaminated consciousness. Okay. So it is covered.
Okay,
For
Prabhuji.
example, a diamond in a diamond box which is covered by dirt. So the diamond and the shine of the diamond, they are pure, but the box is dirty.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Joy. Okay, no more questions. Okay, Mika, you can wrap it up if you want.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, I have one question. So how,
Okay.
sorry. So Prabhuji, so how can we purify our consciousness with the use of intelligence? Because Krishna stresses on use of intelligence, because sometimes we feel that people say that, oh, we should completely surrender to Krishna. But how are we going to completely surrender until unless we are totally convinced, and if something is happening and our intelligence is saying no, this is not the right path? So how are we going to bring this together, I would say? Thank you.
Okay. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita for this only. So Bhagavad Gita is the answer to uh, purify the contamination which is covering the consciousness. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is mentioning a lot of yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So he's mentioning all these parts. So we can simply in three terms we can say Karma, Jnana, and Bhakti. These are the three main parts. So by Karma Yoga, one satisfies all his desires, and then uh, what does is he offers the result to Krishna. And by doing so, his consciousness is little by little, gradually, it gets purified. And then one reaches the stages of Karma Sannyasa Yoga, or what we called as yeah, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So then from Karma Sannyasa Yoga, he either takes the path of Gyan or Bhakti. Okay. From these two paths, there is Karma Tyag starting. है ना? So in Jnana Yoga, there is a certain point of time when you do complete Karma Tyag, then your Antahkarana Shuddhi is happening. That means purification of consciousness. And then Jnana Yoga begins. But in same way in Bhakti also, anytime Bhakti can be taken. Even when you are, even in the body of animal also, animal is also able to do Bhakti. But that is not favorable anyway. So then you start doing Bhakti, and by the principal practices of Bhakti, Gyan and Vairagya are automatically given by Bhakti because these are the two sons of Bhakti Devi. So when you have Gyan, Vairagya, and you have the contamination of karma, the dependency of karma is also gone, and the dependency of even Gyan is also gone at some time in pure Bhakti. Even if you do Mishrit Bhakti also, there are chances you can easily surpass this material world. So what we recite daily in the morning, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, the first verse of Shikshastakam, it is talking the first thing what Sankirtan does is Chetaha Darpana Marjanam, the mirror, which is the consciousness. है ना? There is dirt on it, and that is why we are not able to see who we are. So by that Sankirtan, it is cleansed. So these are the paths available. Fortunately, we are on the easiest and the fastest and the most reliable path, which is the Bhakti Yoga part. So, yes, and we are in the golden age of Sankirtan, so we should do Sankirtan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. This is really interesting to know. And thing like always is that we have to make intelligent choices, right? In bhakti. So that's what that's the only that's what my understanding is, that is it correct or not? I just want to ask you about that. That the consciousness has to be cleansed, but without the help of intelligence, we cannot do that, because if we don't use our intelligence, we won't be making smart choices, right? So they're interdependent, I would say. And so how to uh, stress, or how to motivate the intelligence to work more towards bhakti, Prabhuji?
Okay, so the soul is spiritual, rest everything what we possess as my or mine is all material. So the mind is material, even the intelligence is also material, senses are materials, the desires are material because of the contamination covering the consciousness. So even the intelligence is also material. So how you will use the material intelligence to go into the part of spirituality? Very simple. By purifying the intelligence and making it as a spiritual intelligence. So spiritual intelligence is attained by the mercy of scriptures. By the because the buddhi has the power to do discernment or discrimination between right and wrong.
Yes.
The man says just do it. मीठा है खा लो. But the buddhi says no, 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 diabetes. Control, control, control. So what is right, what is wrong, this is done by intelligence. But because the subject matter is of spiritual, so you need spiritual intelligence. And that is given by the mercy of sadhus, by the service of scriptures. I'm not saying reading or studying of scriptures, service to scriptures. What we are doing now, discussing Bhagavad Gita, is a service to scriptures. See, we don't have the capacity to read, understand scriptures. Let us be very humble and straight to the fact. What
True.
we are doing is we are trying to serve Bhagavad Gita, which is the Vani of Krishna. So, by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercies of all you sadhus, I maybe try to purify my intelligence and then use it in Krishna consciousness. So, this is the complete understanding.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I'll just listen it again, and I'll try to hammer it in my mind, because mind is
That
the devil's workshop. So thank you so much, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Really,
Krishna.
really thank you for your service, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, Mika.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, again for the amazing session on the verse. And we're gonna have class again for the next verse next week to
So I
continue
see.
our
I really want
session.
to cover many verses, but unfortunately, I'm not able to do. That is the thing. Anyway,
No
time
worries,
is not
Prabhuji.
the
Thank you
enemy.
so much.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः।
Jai.
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, भगवद गीता की जय, His Grace शांत गोपीनाथ प्रभु की जय। Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.